How's it going, everybody? What's going on? It is the live show, first live show from the New York studio, and we're working on it. Brett has been working nonstop, and we're getting, the quality of the cameras are already better. We're working on the lighting. We're doing a whole bunch of things, and we're doing our first live show with me and Rocha here today. And what better way than to celebrate it with you guys, man? We got we got a lot of great stories to talk about. And if you're brand new to the channel, you've never been here before, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. But even more than that, be active in the comments. If you're watching live, throw as many comments in there, click the like button. More so than ever, YouTube algorithm is changing, and it's changed again, and it is hurting creators, I think, more so than ever before. So being active, sharing, because it's not the way that it used to be, where if you like this show, it'll keep popping up. It won't. It'll recommend other shows and other things too, unless you're active. And I got to be active back too. So I'm going to be as active as I have been in the comments. I'm going to continue to do so. So I want to thank you guys for joining us here today, because we got a lot to talk about. We're going to be talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. The tickets of quite possibly what I think the biggest movie of the year go on sale today. What does it mean? Is it going to break records? And I think that we'll find a couple of different things out. We'll find out exactly how big of a weekend it's going to have, in the general area. And we'll find out exactly where John Rocha is going to take me to the steak dinner once it clears 750,000, like that. So either way, we have that to talk about. Speaking of movie theaters and ticket prices and all, Sony and Universal, two of the big wigs over there, said, look, one of the big problems right now, we're listening, the ticket prices are too damn high. You got to bring them down, man. If they're saying it, will it happen? Will they get other people on board? And are they right? We'll get into that. Box office is still moving. Apes still moving. And Apes now has a bigger haul overall when it comes to international. So we'll discuss that. Switching away from the world of movies for a second, Tyson Fury lost. And what was so interesting, and there's a story I want to talk to Rocha about, is that this is the heavyweight champion of the world, and he was the undisputed champ. No one had ever beaten him before. And I was in a bar and in New York, and people were not talking about that. You know what they were talking about? Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. Like, it just shows you more so of how boxing just needs a complete fix as far as how it's run. Anyway, so, and obviously we're going to be taking questions from you guys. So make sure, as always, you throw your questions in there, and we're going to get into it today. It's myself, it's John Rocha here today on The Big Thing. Let's do it. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to The Big Thing. Apple Podcast, Spotify, everywhere podcasts are found on this live edition of The Big Thing. Joining me, as always, this Monday. Well, he wasn't here last Monday, so not as always. It's a lie. John Rocha.
How you doing? How's it? Are we doing a New York show? How's it going? Come on.
Man, I was at the pizza. Unbelievable. I think it's 10 pounds being here for 4 days. It's so good. I went to a few different places, and Brett and I stopped off at this one place that was by the train station.
Oh, nice.
And we did the regular cheese slice, but then we tried this burrata slice. They put a little balsamic on it. Dude, it was like, Brett and I looked at each other like, what did we just discover? It was incredible. Really good.
I've heard the new pizza has like ziti on top of it. Like, you can get pizza with ziti on top of it baked into the pizza. And I'm like, this is madness.
I had a chicken parmesan slice the other day, man. Like, I'm telling you, I don't know if I'll make it back. I don't know if I'll make it back to LA. But yeah, we'll get the studio going. Look at this camera.
I know you look great. Love the purple lighting. Shout out to Brett. Good to see you, Brett. Love you.
Yeah, Brett's been working really hard on this, man. So we're and we're taking suggestions and stuff too. And I got to give a big shout out. There were so many people that contributed to that Amazon list, and I've always put it in the top there, and people have been sending stuff, and said somebody yesterday say, oh, well, maybe I'll get you those chairs, and they looked at this stuff, and we're building on it. And one of the things that we're going to do is, and we'll take suggestions from the audience also, is that if there's things that you put your suggestions in there. Do you want to see stuff hung out there? Do you like the lighting as it is? Like put your suggestions in there, and I'm sure Brett's head won't blow off his body when reading these comments. Poor bastard. The guy comes in here and works, and he's working just effortlessly. He's kicking ass, right?
No surprise.
And so he hangs up all these things, and I said, I just need to get into working capacity for whenever the other day was, because I hadn't had any shows up, and I needed to put something up. And he's like, I can get you working. So he got these bricks up just so he'd get a shot. People are like, it looks like a prison. I miss the old studio. And it's like, I just started screaming at the television as it was off.
I know. People are never satisfied, man. Some people.
That's good. It means they care.
But there's so many people here who are excited that you made the move, and they're looking forward. I see the comments. They're all like excited that you've made it to this point, and that everything's getting into shape. So yeah,
that's what I was going to ask you, because you were looking at the comments, and here's the problem. I have, right, I mean, maybe it's not a problem. Maybe it's a happy accident, but I have a smaller screen right now because a lot of my other stuff is still in LA, and we're moving it.
Right.
And so I have this little screen that I can't really read the comments unless I have, the old man bifocals on. So what are you seeing as far as they're saying about the lighting and stuff?
Oh yeah, everyone's pretty positive. They want to get you stuff. Yeah, everyone likes the bricks for the most part. Commenting on the pizza, all that stuff. They're very positive things.
Good. And I see a lot of super chats coming in. Again, that's supporting the show, and it's also going to be able to, at the end of the show, John and I will do. This is what we always do on this show: is that we go over all the main topics, and by the time we get to the last one, then we start going over all your questions. So throw them in there. I mean, it literally can be about anything. You want to talk about the New York move. You want to talk about some of the sports from WWE, whatever it might be.
The New York Knicks choking. Go ahead, bring it up.
I cannot, as much as I want to be mad at you for saying that. But let's be fair. Also,
the Nuggets choked too.
Plagued by injuries too.
Sure.
I mean, come on, man.
It's the Pacers, man. Come on, dude.
The Pacers were shooting out of control.
Yeah, 67%.
How do you combat that? I was watching it was rough.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're talking about here today.
Yeah.
Who are you? What basketball team are you?
Oh man, we suck. We're the Wizards, man. I've been a Wizards fan because I'm from DC. So for me, the Wizards were the Bullet/Wizards is the team. But I mean,
I don't know how you wind up liking the Yankees when you should be
we had no baseball growing up in the 70s and 80s. I had no baseball in DC. So to me, I fell in love through Reggie Jackson. That's like maybe the first baseball game I watched was Reggie. So that's my boy.
Were you about 20 back then?
Yeah, 20. Yes. No, actually, I think I was, 40, 45, something like that.
That makes sense.
Me and my beard.
Yeah, you should. Let's get into these topics, man, because we got a bunch of good ones. Let's
sounds good, man.
This first one. Here's
shout out to the Galaxy geeks who are in here. Respect.
Yeah, very much so. Okay, so we get these tickets and they're on sale.
Yeah.
This is Deadpool and Wolverine from Dark Horizons over here. Marvel Studios also premiered a new 60-second spot for its upcoming Deadpool and Wolverine ahead of the film's July 26th release. The team announced the launch of ticket pre-sales for the movie. While much of the clip is a cut-down version of the second trailer, there are some new shots, some extended scenes, and a big new scene in the last few seconds. The film ties back to the TVA from Loki, a bureaucratic organization that exists outside of time and space and monitors the timeline. Here, they pull Wade Wilson from his quiet life and set him up on a mission with Wolverine that will change the history of the MCU. Okay, so I didn't watch the clip because I've seen it. I already know. Maybe if there's like a big trailer, sure, maybe I'll do a reaction to it. But the TV spots I try to avoid for the most part. First things first, you did watch the little spot, right?
Yeah, this morning. It was, I don't know, it's like 50 seconds, 55 seconds promoting the tickets coming out. A lot of clips from the previous trailer. And I think the teaser trailer, but then at the end, there's a little joke about knives in the ass. So that's about a 10 seconds of the last last 10 seconds of the spot. So it's not a lot of new footage, just 10 seconds of new footage, but it's funny stuff. So you know what you're getting.
Okay, so Brett,
I got 20 tickets today. So
I think 20 tickets.
Yeah, I think you're screwed. It's not going to cross $1 billion. I mean, the fact that I could get tickets that easily.
All right, so speaking of that, because you just brought that up. What do you need? Just the case. So you just brought that up. So I want to make sure that you know, because again, I can just prove this with video again, because I want to make sure that you remember.
Yeah.
What do you think our bet is?
The bet you said it's got to cross $1 billion. You said it was going to make $1 billion, and I said it won't make $1 billion.
Right. That was not the bet, though. But the bet was what it was. I said it's going to make $1 billion. You said no.
Yeah.
And then I said it, and then we what we agreed on was 750. So if it crosses 750, and like I said, you can say no all day long, and someone will just send you the video, and you can hear.
Yeah, send me the video, guys.
You can hear your words said. I've sent it to you 4 times already, but I'll send it.
Changing it. Kristian keeps changing
it. If you think you're AI, maybe you're changing it. But that's about it. So people will tell you in the comments. Nonetheless, this movie is going to do very, very well.
Yeah,
very, very well. And I'm just curious now, like after this first day of tickets, like what's that going to mean overall? Like, are we going to be able to look at it and go, well, if you compare it to No Way Home, or if you compare it to Avatar, and you compare it to these movies that just did gangbusters, like where's it going to be? Where, like, jokes aside, though, where do you think that this movie is going to land as far as when you're tacking up the numbers and the excitement behind it?
It's going to be curious, because I think you got to see the reviews, man, to be honest with you, because right now all we've seen is footage, right? So there have been no screenings for this thing, and so right now in the bubble, it feels like this movie's going to make like $2 billion, right? It has that vibe, but I don't know what the Marvel hangover, how long this thing is going to last. Look, X-Men 97 is something completely different, because that's animated, and yes, the pop culture zeitgeist got behind it and what have you, but now it's gone. So this is live action. This is a movie. Is the drawing power strong enough, and will people go see this thing? Because if the reviews aren't 100% over the moon going crazy, and look, there was a lot of great reviews for the Fall Guy. Dead fell apart. If got some good reviews, didn't do well at the box office. We're gonna see, but Apes did well, so we're gonna see how that plays out. Furiosa is gonna be curious as well, but I think it's gonna all depend on how the first reviews come out, and if they come out super positive, way over the top, and from people that you trust, I think that lets us know this is going to be a pretty good film, and people are going to go back and watch it. But if the reviews are slightly mixed, or you can read between the lines of some of those reviews where they're not 100% positive about it, then we got ourselves some trouble.
I think that's accurate when it comes to repeat business and overall,
which is what leads to
life. I agree, but I also think that it is the pre-ticket sales and the opening weekend is going to be on hype alone, and
true, 100%,
because people are going to be, there will be no reviews for it. People just want to see it and then if it's that good that maybe people are on the fence about it, like, I don't know about Marvel, but then everybody's raving about it, then you're 100% right. Then the people will be like, well, the reviews, look at what it did opening weekend, plus the fact the reviews are out of control. And that adds to it. But I think that I'm so curious after today to see, like, okay, because that'll be another story that I'm sure we'll both cover. You'll cover on your channel, I'll cover on mine, and it's we'll kind of analyze it and say, well, look what that did, and we will. Like, as I said, we're going to compare it to these different things.
I think 1.5 is right now, looking at it, 1.5 feels like the possibility, the top end possibility, 1.5 billion. Okay, because people want to love Marvel again, man. They want to. Yeah. They're bitching about it, complaining about it. But majority of the fans, I would say 90 to 95% of the fans, are angry about Marvel because they really enjoyed the lead up to Endgame and everything that happened there. And they want to go back to that time. They want to recapture that magic. And that's where a lot of the anger stems from, is this disappointment, is this frustration. And look, I've been doing some changing on my own opinions on things as I watch and read more people's points of views on it. And I think I've been a little bit unfair in going after some people who are upset at Marvel for certain reasons. I think I've been too easily dismissing some people's legitimate points of views on some of the decisions they've made, casting wise, production wise, writing wise, directing wise.
I give you props. I give you props for that, because there's a lot of people that won't ever change their stance on it and just fold on both sides of the aisle, right? They fold their arms and won't look at it. So I give you props for saying that.
I spent the weekend just like reading stuff, watching this stuff, and be like, okay, I don't agree with a lot of this, but there is some kernel of truth within the other stuff that you're like, okay, I get this. So I think people want to fall back in love with Marvel. They want to feel happy about Marvel again. So if this brings it back, And it's a good move, great movie. People are going to come in droves to see it and feel that magic again and that hope again with Marvel, because man, so much of the world nowadays, dude, is full of hopelessness that you want to go someplace where you feel that you're in good hands and you feel hopeful and entertained. So I think there's a real strong possibility here.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's, like I said, the hype behind this one is just, you can feel it. You can feel people talking about it, and people will be showing up to the theater. But that kind of throws us to our next topic. And I was originally I was going to lead with this one, but then I found out that the tickets were on sale for that one, and Ed Harold had put that in there. I said that's actually a good one to talk about, and I'm glad that we did.
Yeah.
But the other thing was this stuff about the movie theaters, right? In general. And you talk about props for saying, hey, look, we got to look at things and analyze it, not just stick by our ways. And that's you think is going on with Sony and Universal, because these are the two chiefs that had these conversations about cinema right now and cinema's future. So the cinema's back, baby, is a common statement heard on social media these days when a film breaks through in theatrical release and becomes a hit. But the cold fact is the overall health of cinemas, it's not great. Barring multiple unforeseen successes, this year will mark the first of the post-pandemic era to see a global box office revenue. For the year to date, ticket sales are already down by 20% compared to last year domestically, with the global sales on an even sharper decline. A combination of changed viewing habits and strike-impacted slates has resulted in 3 summer weekends in which the combined domestic box office of all the films in cinemas is under 100 million, and no single film has debuted so far this year which has reached that mark on opening weekend. Compare that to this time last year, when 3 films had already opened to over 100 million each, and only one weekend in May saw a combined box office below 118 million. So how does Hollywood get more people back into the cinema? According to Sony Motion Picture Group Tom Rothman, the quickest and easiest solution would be the most effective: lower the ticket prices. This is what he says to Deadline. We need the ticket prices to come down. I think it's not healthy. I understand why it happened, and that exhibition went through a terrible near-death experience with COVID. I get the instinct to raise the prices. But I think overall, if you look for an example on how every Tuesday in America, every single Tuesday is the biggest day of the week. Why? Because of the half-price tickets. It's fundamental consumer economics. Just lower the prices and you will sell more. You'll make it up in volume and concessions. He adds he wishes that exhibition would try out more pricing experiments, namely those that take the prices down. It's especially impactful on younger and family audiences whose disposable income is tight with the cost of living crisis. I think that we would endear ourselves much more, particularly to that family audience, if the price is moderated some. Exhibition will argue, fair enough, moviegoing is still great value. It's still a fraction of the cost of a Broadway show or a football game. But for a lot of people bringing a family of 4 or 6 to the movies, that can be expensive undertaking. He also says the production side of the industry needs to get to its budgetary house in order. Streamers who don't have an individual film profit-based model inflated the cost of making films, and all the studios who do have such a model succumb to varying degrees. Mega negatives become giga negatives, and budgets are up across the board. This is not just bad for studios, it's bad for the audience. High negative costs decrease creative risk-taking, which decreases the ability to push for the kind of originality I spoke of before. Instead, it leads to repeating the tried and true and the tyranny of IP. And he's not the only studio head that is weighing in on this. NBC's group chairman and chief content officer, Donna Langley, tells Variety that the answer isn't cheaper prices, but a larger amount of movies. We don't really think we're going to recapture pre-pandemic levels. There's just less volume going through the marketplace at the moment. If there's not too many things to see, you lose the habit. We need volume to come back. We need more movies and great movies in the marketplace. Okay, so these are 2 different points of view, and I have a funny feeling that one of us is going to argue for one of the studio execs, and then the other is going to argue for the other. So I am on the board of what Rothman says. Because I think that what he's talking about is what I've been talking about forever when it comes to streamers, when it comes to family prices. We, the people that do this, are in a bubble. We are blessed in the fact that we can see press screenings, so we see everything, right? So even when we don't see it, if we miss a press screening, we're like, oh, we'll just go out and we'll go see it. But it's like you take like a normal family that is seeing a movie, and they're paying for 4 people to go see a movie, parking, concessions, all that. it does turn into a night at the theater, like, and
Yeah.
where he uses, well, it's not, he said that some people could argue that the price of a football game, a price of a theater ticket, that's not something you want to do all the time. It's like a special event, right? So it's
Right.
like, we'll go to a football game. Okay, how many football games do you go to a year, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
How many Broadway shows do you go to a year?
Right.
And movies are supposed to be, okay, we can go see this. I totally think that theater prices should come down. I don't think volume is going to do anything. I think there's enough volume on streaming platforms everywhere. So volume to me is definitely not the answer.
I think it's all corrupt from the top down. I don't mean corrupt in terms of like someone's personal ethics or principles or morality. I think it's corrupt financially from the top all the way down. There is no reason that these executives and the studio heads should be making the amount of money that they're making. And look, I may piss some people off with that. I don't care. The truth is, it's all corrupt all the way down, because those costs are being passed on step by step to the consumer, just like sports. Yeah, you got that big receiver and your contract, you paid him $300 million. Well, guess what? You're going to have to pay more for tickets. You're going to have to pay more for refreshments. You're going to have to pay more for memorabilia, for the shirts, for all that, the jerseys, all of that stuff. Same thing with movies. Like, you go into a movie theater, right? A medium drink used to be a medium drink. Now it's like this size, and they charge you an arm and a leg. Everything costs. And I see people going, you don't have to buy food. That's part of the process. That's part of enjoying the process. The kids get the popcorn, they enjoy it, and they watch it. You got to pay for it. And I think someone saying that is someone who doesn't have kids, because kids are going to hound you until you get them stuff at the movie theater. So,
and let's also say the other thing, John, not just kids. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But the other thing, though, when you're sitting there for a little while, let's say you get there a little earlier, right? You're sitting around, you're like, you know what, I'm kind of thirsty. And it's like,
Sure.
and you're paying $7 for a soda or whatever it is.
And Kristian, they're 3-hour movies with 30 minutes of trailers ahead of them. So you're asking for a 4-hour commitment, if you include parking and what have you, for a family. And so you've got to feed them to an extent. So I think all the way from the top down, everything is too much. Contractors are overcharging studios for the work they do. All this stuff is just all feeding itself, and they're trying to blame. Like, I see people in our sphere going after the audience, like, oh, you guys didn't go see this original movie, then you're crying about original movies. What the fuck is the point of yelling at the audience? That's not going to motivate them to go see the movies. And so it's just all a cesspool of everybody attacking each other, when the truth is, if you reduce the cost of, if you stop paying all these people so much money, you can use that money to move that on down to everybody else. Because you know who gets effed when they reduce ticket prices? The movie theaters. And I'll tell you why. Because the upkeep, they won't be able to handle the upkeep. So you're going to sit in shittier chairs. You're going to sit around smellier carpet.
But wait,
theaters aren't clean.
But wait, let me push back on that.
Yeah.
Because doesn't the majority, I mean, I know the movie theater takes some
depends on the movie and depends on the studio how much.
Because a lot of times I thought that the movie theaters are really making their money from the concessions.
That's what I'm saying. They're making their money off the concessions and overcharging the consumer for the concessions. Kristian, has the popcorn changed in quality? I would argue it's gotten worse.
No, but I would say I understand why the concessions are not going to come down because of that reason. I understand that it's not going to come down. Plus, the argument again could be made in comparison to the football games or whatever else too. Yeah. The prices, I mean, not even just prices of football game, any event that you go to. I went to my daughter's play. And the concessions for like what you would buy for a candy bar for 50, 60 cents or whatever was like $2.50.
Yeah.
So they always do that no matter what event you go to. So I get that. I understand that. But the ticket prices play more into the studio, and it also plays into the budgets. It also plays into, well, they say, well, you know, if we're making $300 million movies, then we can charge a little extra for this. Stop making that.
Yes.
Stop making those movies.
Yes. And stop paying the executives as much as you're paying them. No, they shouldn't be like, that just drives me nuts how much executives. I think you should make a living, of course, but not to the extent that they're getting paid, because all that money is coming out of the same same pool of money that you're looking at here. And that's the situation when you put the cost down on the consumer, because you can cut the prices. Kristian, there's no reason movies couldn't be $8 again, right? If you push that money down from the top, you can cut ticket prices, not lose any profit, and more people will come to the theater. You can make it more of a communal experience all over again. So to me, this is what's frustrating when I look at it all. It's all about paying the top level and fucking everyone else on the way down.
I agree, but I think the problem is, you're not going to have a lot of studio execs like that have this, that share the same opinion as
Rob. And they should stop crying about people not going to the movie theaters. I don't want to hear it from executives anymore. Honestly,
it is absolutely an economic thing, and that's what it and it adds into the fact that I was talking about this with a guy who's got a family and saying like, he hadn't seen Dune 2, right?
Wow.
And it's coming out on Max. So instead of whatever that movie is that's coming out that weekend,
right?
That Dune, him and the family, they're gonna watch Dune.
Yeah,
they're not going to go to the movies because he's got a really good sound system at his place. He's going to doesn't go to the movies that much anymore because he just waits, because that's the other thing is these movies back when we were kids.
Yeah.
It like Dune 2. If Dune 2 would have come out back when we were kids, we'd have to wait a year before it hit HBO.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it would go to DVD first or VHS, whatever it was back then. Then eventually it would end up on pay TV, as we used to call it, with those channels. Yeah.
So now it's on there, and
Fall Guy comes out digitally tomorrow. Kristian, that just came out in the theater like 3-4 weeks ago.
Because that's what they need to do now in order to try to make up for stuff. Because there's no reason to keep that movie and spend more money by keeping. No one's going to see that movie. That's why I understand the optimism sometimes, and I talked to like Coy about this, and I saw somebody else who I just was just a fan that was talking about Fall Guy and said, this movie's so good, I believe it's going to have legs. And it's like, not in the beginning of the summer movie season.
Nope.
No, it will not. If it doesn't do well in those first week or two, it's not going to have some miraculous comeback. Like, what about Aquaman? Aquaman came out at the end of December. Aquaman 2 came out at the end of December, or whenever it was. It was something along the lines.
Yeah, it was the middle of December. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so whatever it was, and it had time to breathe, because it wasn't getting just punched in the face by all these different movies that were coming out. And you look at those movies that have come out thus far. I mean, Apes we'll get into in just a second, but Apes is, I saw somebody going, this is really bad for Apes considering it costs 120. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's the same type of, if you look at the numbers that it had, minus I think Dawn, it's pretty on par with everything that it's done. Plus the fact globally it's done really well. The curious one's going to be Furiosa. I'm very curious how that's going to do.
Yeah. Because I mean, we love Mad Max, and certainly Fury Road did a really good job, but Will Furiosa, from what I read in the reviews, if you read between the lines, it's a slower paced movie.
Did you haven't seen it yet?
No, I see it tonight. Okay. I see it tonight.
I saw my first screening in New York.
Hey,
and I mean, so I just watched Fury Road again last night.
Yeah,
after watching it, and it's amazing how much it's so funny now that Fury Road feels like part 2 of Furiosa. Like,
oh really?
Oh, it absolutely feels like part 2.
That's great.
It's part 2. And it's just it's a movie that you absolutely want to see in the theater to make this, to just, more relevance to this conversation, is that it's the revving of the engines just from the start of it, the sound and how powerful that is. And I've talked about this many times over, like when there's silence, John, you can hear the silence. Like that's how effective it is. It's like, so it is a theater movie. And I'm curious to how that movie would play. And again, bringing Dune back, my friend of mine was like, I didn't get a chance to see it in the theater. And I'm like, I just wonder how that will affect you on that run. You'll still like it. It's still a great movie, but there's something about, in the same way that I'm sure I would have loved Dune 1 even more had I seen it in the theater.
Yeah, and I think it's fascinating when you look at it too, Kristian, because I see a lot of people nowadays who push back on that and go, well, we grew up watching movies on TV and blah, blah, blah. But it's different now. Like movies now are all about the spectacle of the theater, like the big tentpole films, franchise IP films, very much about taking advantage of the optimal screen, the optimal sound in a movie theater, right? That wasn't necessarily the case in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, even a little bit. And there were certain parts of the 80s, certainly certain films or whatever, but the last 2 decades, 2.5 decades, it's very much been the franchise pictures that have carried the box office, carried studios. And so that has caused the advent of technology that is at the height of the audio and video appreciation. I mean, we have people arguing about the perspective of the letterbox on DVD on 4K releases, and that tells you how deep this has gone. So I think these movies are much more about getting people into the theater to watch them and enjoy them. And then you can watch them at home with a great sound system or whatever and like remember what it was sitting in the theater. So yeah, I agree with you on that.
Absolutely. Okay. So again, great conversation thus far. What I will also ask you guys is, as I mentioned in the beginning here, throw your comments in there. I see tons of people that are they're just being active in the live chat. Very, very helpful. Super helpful. If you're watching on the replay, put your comments in there. As I mentioned, and maybe we'll discuss it after the break with John about how the algorithm has once again changed. They're changing. I don't know why they changed it, but they changed it again, and it is not really favorable to creators. So by putting your comments in there, by clicking like, by being active, and myself being more active as well when I'm in there and responding back, it helps the channel. Another thing that helps the channel, as I've mentioned many times over, are our wonderful sponsors. I'm going to tell you about two of them. I told you many times over about Joy Mode, and I told you about Tushy. Here's both of them right now. Oh, tell me about Tushy. So many comments lately about everybody that's buying the Tushies. And I see why you're buying them. I love them. You love them. Chris Carr loves them. Everybody loves the Tushies. I'm so excited to get you guys to get a Tushy that I almost thought about doing this from the bathroom. But then I was like, no, I want you to get it. It's terrible. That's a terrible thing for me to do. But I want to do it because I want to show you how much I love the Tushies. Check this out alone. Look at this. Just open up the toilet lid. You spray the water right in your tush. It's wonderful. Look at that. That's how it works. It's that easy. You put it on the toilet. You open it up. Spray the water on your butt. It's lovely. It's going to change the way that you think about cleaning up after a spicy dump in a coffee shop or a porta potty during a music festival. You're going to want to take Tushy with you everywhere, and thankfully you can. Because the Tushy Travel, it's collapsible, it's durable, and discreet portable bidet that gives you the most confident clean on the go. I keep telling people about these things. Everybody are getting the Tushies now, and everyone's like, oh, man, can I use your code? Can I use your code? Of course you can. It's the best. I got one. I've got two in my house right now, and it is so wonderful. We feel classy in this house. It's got a 3-stream nozzle for a total clean. It's got a new air mesh bag for discreet travel, faster dry time. It comes in 5 new colors. Every Hello Tushy bidet comes with a 30-day hassle-free return and 12-month warranty. So stop wiping until you bleed. Join the 2 million butts who have already made the switch to Tushy. For a limited time only, our listeners get 10% off your entire order, but you got to use that code BIGTHING. 10% off Hello Tushy, HELLTUSHY.com with the promo code BIGTHING. All right. You know as well as I do, you've been standing at that gas station, you look over and you go, oh, sexual pills. I'm going to try one of those. Don't do it. They are not good over there. Not healthy, but Joy Mode is. What is Joy Mode? When you go to the gym and you take something to help you with your workout, it's the same thing with Joy Mode. It's a sexual enhancement performer, man. It's amazing, and it works. The issue is that over-the-counter pill, it contains unregulated chemicals, it suggests unsafe doses, and it includes the risk of several other health problems. That is why we are partnered with our friends over at Joy Mode. I tried it, and man, oh man, it just makes you feel good. It's that extra pep. It's not necessarily a step, but you get what I'm talking about. Whether you're looking to spice up your intimate moments or increase your confidence in the bedroom, Joy Mode makes all natural and science-backed supplements dedicated to helping men perform better across their core functions. Their trademark product, the Sexual Performance Booster, it's every man's solution for increased blood flow, firmness, stamina, and performance. It comes in a palm-sized packet like your favorite electrolyte powder. Simply mix 6 to 8 ounces of water 45 minutes before sexual activity and watch the magic unfold. Literally. Redefine your intimacy and go to usejoymode.com for 20% off with the code BIGTHING. Appropriate. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code BIGTHING at usejoymode.com. Ingredients with integrity. Joy Mode. All right. Thank you to our friends, obviously, over at both Tushy and Joy Mode. Excited to have them both back on the show. I love both of them. I've been telling you about both of them. The reason they came back, by the way, is because you guys keep getting them. And if you get them, they come back. And if they come back, then we stay on the air. So get yourself something that you want. That's how it works. All right. So John, before we move on, I don't even think I've told you this. I have a very special announcement.
Okay.
So well, on Tuesday, on this Tuesday, I guess the show that will air on Wednesday, special guest, because people have been asking me if I'm going to have in studio shows, because, and I will. So there's going to be a New York crew, and there's going to be obviously the crew that we already have. So, but I already have someone else that I had booked in that's going to be coming in. And so my friend Samantha, who, if you remember Collider Live, she used to call in. She's going to be one of my in studio people once we start going in June. But the big announcement is that for Wednesday, Matt Serra's coming in live on the show. He'll be on the show on this Wednesday. It'll be the show. He'll be on, and then Matt's going to start popping in, and Matt's going to be a regular on the show.
Wow!
But the big announcement is I'm officially going to be producing and co-hosting with Matt on his YouTube channel, the Matt Serra YouTube channel, which is now you can go now, and it's just at Matt Serra BJJ, and you can go over there.
That's awesome.
And you can subscribe to his channel. He's going to be doing a lot of different things. He's going to be doing a lot of geek stuff, other things. We'll talk about it a little bit more on the show, but I'm producing his show, and I'm working with him. So you can go and you can go over there, and you can subscribe to it.
Is this the guy that chose Bibiani over me in our matchup? Is this the Matt Serra who chose Bibbs, or did you choose
Serra? Do you really not know who Matt Serra is?
I know who MMA Matt Serra is. I'm talking about Schmodown Matt Serra, and I know you had him on the show once.
That's MMA Matt Serra.
Okay. Is this the guy who chose Bibbs over me?
No, he didn't choose Bibbs.
Okay.
Did he? Or maybe he did. Maybe he did on the phone. He doesn't know what the Schmodown was, man. Like he's this guy who beat GSP.
Yeah, I know. I love Matt Serra. That's awesome, man. I'm very proud. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Like, I'm so excited for you with this possibility. Now that it's official, I can be excited for you.
Yeah, I'm excited for it too, because he's going back on Rogan soon. He's nice. Because Joe kept telling him that he needed to do a show, and I had mentioned to him a while ago too, and Joe's been pushing on him to do it. So I think it's gonna be really great. And Matt, he's just so energetic. He's so passionate about this stuff. He's funny as hell. So he's gonna be shooting from this studio on his channel.
Oh, nice.
So it'll be great.
That's great. Congratulations, man. Next step forward.
Anyway, so you guys, if you want to check it out, it's just, if you just search Matt Serra, it's right now. I mean, we just created the channel, and I think it has 1,500 subscribers or something. So if you want to go on over there and check out Matt's channel, go ahead and subscribe. He'll be promoting it pretty soon over the next couple of weeks. So,
awesome.
Okay. So let's get into, let's stay with the fight game, man.
Okay.
So I'm at a bar the other night with my buddy James and Brett, and we're sitting down, and it was just a long day of work, so we're just kicking back with a few beers, and the typical New York sports bar. They got games on in the background. And there was some boxing match on, and people started talking about boxing, and we were talking about the Mike Tyson and Paul fight.
Oh yeah,
and then we listened over to the side, and there were other people talking about the Mike Tyson and Paul fight. And my friend James says to me, he goes, "Oh, did you know that Tyson Fury lost tonight?" And I'm like, "How does not everyone know about that? This is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world."
Yeah.
And the sports fans that were tied into it knew the fight was on. Of course they knew about it, but back in the day, you couldn't everybody would know if the champ lost.
Yeah.
And it's but more people know that Jake Paul and Tyson are fighting,
right,
than they did Tyson Fury was fighting.
Yeah. I mean, it's just boring now. Since the Klitschko brothers became champions, and then no offense to their talent, they're all both of them fantastic boxers. The heavyweight division has been kind of boring. And yeah, Anthony Joshua, and there was the Ruiz pop up, and then you have Deontay Wilder. Certainly exciting fighters, but they're not the Canelo. Like, Canelo is the guy. The lower weight classes are where you get much more attention.
That's what he's been.
Say it again. Sorry.
It's been like that. Like when the weight comes, but the problem is, John, it's less about that, because if there are some exciting heavyweights, fine, like Joshua and those people too.
Sure,
but more about the idea, and the reason why UFC popped is because, and I've said this many times over, it's one organization that makes their champions fight who is ranked. The organization runs it, not the fighters. In boxing, the fighters and their name. Did Mike Tyson, Jake Paul is an example of that. Like they're running that fight. No one's going to care about what comes next.
Yeah.
Depends on whoever Jake Paul will find some other, big, older celebrity or something to fight. And that'll that's how you make money in boxing now. It's not about the champion fighting the right contender.
Right. The allure of Tyson is what sells here. And you saw that press conference.
Yes.
Jake Paul came out like a madman saying, going at the audience, going at everybody. And then Tyson calmly countered him, and still Tyson did a great job of tightrope walking, because he dipped back into the old Tyson in certain moments and then stayed the evolved Tyson in other moments. And it works so well in the back and forth with Jake, because I'm sure they talked this out ahead of time. Jake, you go crazy. Go say all the things you want to say. I'm good. I'm going to occasionally say some things here, but then I'm going to try to come off in this other way, and people are going to eat it up. And you're going to be the villain. I'll be the hero. And then we'll see what happens when we get in that ring. So smart to promote it that way. And the press conference, I was watching some of it. You sent me the link, and I watched some of it, and then I watched the highlights later. Perfectly done. Yeah,
it was done. It was done well. And the other thing that I heard, and I don't know how true it is, so I'm not going to start saying, oh my God, but from what I heard, there was some report that in the contract, it says essentially that if Mike Tyson knocks out Jake Paul in the first round, he doesn't get any money. And then in the second, he's got to like basically last 8 rounds in order to actually. I don't know how true that is. This is something that I saw floating on social media, so I don't just buy it right away. But it's along the lines that there's a lot of stipulations inside of the contract itself.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, a lot of people felt that way about the Conor McGregor Floyd Mayweather fight, that Mayweather had essentially signed a contract to keep McGregor afloat for 6 or 7 rounds, and then he put him away in the 9th. So I wouldn't be surprised. People want a spectacle, and if that's what they got to do behind the scenes, so you can enjoy a fight, fine. But you don't. If you tune in for 40 seconds, people are going to be upset. So give them a long fight. Why not? I don't know.
I want to see him. I want to see it be over in like 45 seconds. I want to see Tyson.
That amount of money? I don't know, man.
Oh, for what? What amount of money? I mean, I pay Netflix every month.
Fair point.
I'm not paying pay-per-view.
No, I think what Netflix paid these people, I think they want them to fight for a bit.
That's probably true. Okay, so speaking of money,
do you have a prediction? Do you have a prediction on this one?
So
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it was fun. Who just said that recently? There was someone. Oh no, it was a dumb. There's some movie I'd never even heard of with the Big Show and Hulk Hogan that I saw somebody tweeted out about, and it was like Hogan was Zeus, and
no hold barred. Come on,
no Hogan, no, not that Zeus.
Okay,
not Tiny Lister. No. Hogan actually played the Greek Zeus.
What?
Yes, and Big Show was somebody else, and. Dude, I mean, like, what's his face? From oh my God, from John Hurd, right? No, from who's from Home Alone, the dad.
Yeah, John Hurd. Yeah,
John Hurd. So John Hurd was in it. I mean, the amount of people in this movie that shouldn't. This movie looked like it was shot on a VHS one of those camcorders.
Sounds about right.
It was. I mean, it's atrocious. Remember Little Hercules? Remember that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He plays Hercules, like. And yeah, it's ridiculous. And at one point, I think Hogan rips off the pain line from T inside. From what I remember, I've never even heard of this thing until the other day, and I wish that I never had. It's bad. But how do we get down? How do we get down that? Oh,
I don't know. I was just saying prediction for the Tyson fight.
If there is these stipulations, it favors Paul. If Tyson's got to try to last, 8 rounds with a 24-year-old kid, and the kid's running around away from him, and you try to like take his power away, they can only start throwing bombs into the 8th round.
Right.
It certainly favors Paul, but I'm gonna predict on the. I'm gonna be naive and believe that this is just an actual fight with no stipulations.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say Tyson finishes him in the 3rd.
I think I agree with you. Tyson in the 3rd. Yeah. That sounds about right. He'll gauge him in the 1st, figure out where he's at, get the rhythm back, and then really hurt him in the 2nd. He'll hold on, and then he'll put him away in the 3rd. Yeah, absolutely.
It's true.
Unless he runs, unless he holds the whole time.
That's hilarious. So EBZ, suck it, because I was following boxing way before you were even born probably. So the whole thing when it came to boxing was my sport, and I watched everything when I was a kid. I watched stuff that I used to go to. I couldn't even find stuff in St. Pete, and I trained at Winky Wright's gym. So don't tell me about how stick to yourself, Jake Paul, and this eat shit. I actually, from when it comes to boxing, now I can't tell you how in depth that I am about it because I don't know it. I lost interest in it, and when it became to the actual organization of it, that is when how organized UFC was back. I kind of transferred over and I switched over back in like 2006 2007 because I wanted boxing to get its shit together. I wanted boxing to actually have, instead of WBA, IBF, WBA, all that stuff, I wanted it to be one organization. Then it lost its way. So no, I'm going to ask you to stick to your depth and don't just say nonsense when it comes to the actual sport. The sport lost people. I'm sorry if you love it, great, but it lost people. So don't start just making accusations and say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. No, I actually do. I watched many fights over the years with a lot of different boxers, probably ones that you don't even know. But I mean, I used to watch Tapia all the time. Tons of fights.
Was great.
Tapia was great. So, but the sport is just not the same anymore. I'm glad you still love it. It's great. I'm glad you still follow it, but it's not the same anymore. And do I think that the Jake Paul and Tyson fight is the one that's going to save boxing? No, of course it isn't. It's going to give Netflix a boost.
Yeah.
But boxing is not in the state that it used to be in the 80s and 90s and the De La Hoya days and the Vargas days, all that. So
it's not mainstream.
Yeah,
you're right, 100%. It's not mainstream like it was, no matter what Evie says. And he's probably one of those people that's like, but the quality of the action in the ring is great. Yeah, that's fine. But people aren't watching it or talking about it at the levels that they did before. And that's the whole point we're trying to make. Those are two separate fucking arguments. Like AEW people. Our wrestling product is great. Fine. Nobody's watching. So it's like
that's the problem.
That's what matters.
They cover there'll be maybe some big fights or big moments that go viral that people will be talking about for a couple of days and then it goes away. It's not like they're not tuning into the next fight unless that fighter happens to be fighting again. And then maybe you get lucky if that fighter builds it up. But it's like you want the sport to be elevated, not just that was my point with boxers are just individual fighters who they have too much power as far as being able to choose who they want. Mayweather made a career out of it. Mayweather never had to fight the guy. Like that's why I loved Holyfield. When Holyfield was the champ, man, Holyfield fought everybody. He fought everybody. And so did Lennox Lewis. Lennox Lewis, another guy. Underrated. But anyway, so that's the boxing portion of the show. I see that people are putting questions in there and super chats in there. We're going to get to all of them. So don't worry. We'll get to every single one. But I want to talk about the next, the Apes, because this is box office here, John. We got it. And we were talking about box office before. We'll talk about some more box office now. Let's get to, I'm just going to talk about the numbers itself. And here it is. Apes is strong at the global box office. Garth Franklin over at Dark Horizons.
Okay, cool. No, I see the bucket crab is back. I see Carrillo is back, the bucket crab. But anyway, go ahead. Keep going.
I don't know what that means. All right. Disney and 20th Century's Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is powering on overseas, taking 40.6 million in its second weekend of release internationally. 2 weekends under its belt, the new chapter in the franchise has now generated 237 million worldwide, and it's already the fourth highest grossing movie of the year, behind only Dune Part 2, Godzilla and Kong New Empire, and Kung Fu Panda. That said, with its 160 million, it needs to be closer to that $500 million mark to be in profit. It's faring better than John Krasinski's fantasy comedy If, which topped the domestic but came second in the international box last weekend. In the U.S., it's set to snag 35 million, which is in line with expectations. Internationally, though, it only collected 20 million and it sits at 59 million total in opening weekend. It will need good word of mouth, as its 110 million budget means it has to perform well. The Garfield movie hasn't hit the U.S. just yet, has already racked up 49 million overseas. It is slated to finally open domestically this coming week, where it will take on Furiosa on the Memorial Day weekend. So I'm also going to look at the box office mojo numbers total here, and we look at Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes was If was at number 1 at 35 million. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes was 26. The Strangers Chapter 1 was 12 million. Fall Guy made another 8, and Challengers made 2.9. But when it stands, the the first If, right? We'll talk about that.
Mhm.
I haven't had a chance to see it yet.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
No, I didn't see because it got mixed reviews, and from a couple of people who I trust, I didn't want to go see it. And so when they told me that it wasn't that good, it was a bit maudlin. I was like, okay, I'm good. I don't need to go see it. It's not for me, so I didn't go.
Well, so I
Yeah.
was going to go see it,
Okay.
but then I realized that my 6.5-year-old would be devastated if I saw it without her.
Mm.
Now I was going to go see the press screening when I was in LA.
Oh yeah.
But I didn't have a chance to. I think I was leaving. It was like the day or two when I went to New York, and then I missed the one that was here.
Mhm.
So I could have seen it at the theater this weekend and done it out of the theater reaction. I was going to do that, but like I said, well, if you can go see it twice, and I was like, yeah, but what if it's not that good? Do I want to see it twice? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to see it twice. So I said, I'm just going to wait, and I'm going to do another theater reaction for it. When I get back to LA and I go and see it with my 6.5-year-old, I'll go check it out. But no, it hasn't had the kind of reaction I was hoping it would. And I have selfish reasons why I'm hoping it would, because like this is my 6.5-year-old's most anticipated movie. Right.
Yeah.
So I want it to be like a mega hit. So she doesn't care. Nobody could watch it. She still is she loves it. The beauty of being a 6.5-year-old. She's just gonna love it, and she's gonna want to see it 1,000 times. But yeah, that movie hitting 35 million, it definitely needs to have a little bit more legs when Garfield's here, because I heard Garfield's got some pretty good reviews, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I was surprised by that.
Yeah.
Everyone was out with their fork and knives, but
Yeah.
then the reviews came out were pretty positive. So we'll see.
Yeah. So
I might talk myself into that one this week at some point.
We'll see. And then Strangers, which did okay.
Dude, the reviews on that were horrible. Oh my God.
I
can't believe it made 12 million.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's decent that it made 12. I did not. It's another one I didn't get a chance to see it, but it is going to be very interesting on how Furiosa is going to do, because it's going to be very, very, very interesting.
And we're not that far away from Deadpool and Wolverine, right, dude? That's like 2 or 3 weeks away. Right?
About a month.
About a month. So
a little bit more than
legs if has is I think it's going to get swallowed up by Ryan Reynolds' other film. So
you mean it?
Yeah. Whatever legs if it has any, I think is going to get swallowed up eventually.
It's so far away. I mean, it's almost 2 months away by the time that movie comes out.
Maybe the Furiosa and the Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's more so about Garfield Inside Out. That's that movie.
Oh, Inside Out too. Right. Good point.
That has way more of a chance to just knock it off of any legs that it potentially can have, because those other movies I think are just very different audiences. But like Apes, which needs to make its money to hit like 500 to make a profit.
Yeah.
Apes has Furiosa to deal with now, right? So Furiosa will take some of the money away from Apes, and then it's got a little leeway until, I can't remember, there's something that comes out in mid-June. I can't remember what it is. If it's anything, not anything too big, but I think Apes could hit 500. You can get close.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not sure.
It's doing well, so why not?
Yeah, it's well, but
Inside Out 2 is mid-June.
Again, different audience, right? So it's like, so the idea is, it's the same conversation that we had in the beginning of this show, though. It's how, if you're somebody who hasn't seen Apes, and it came out a month ago, and you have all this other stuff that you could watch on, and let's not forget about how heavy June is in television with House of the Dragon, The Bear season 2, The Boys, Acolyte. You have all these shows that are coming out in June. You're going to have tons of stuff to watch that you're like, oh, I'll just wait for Apes to come on, Disney Plus and whenever the hell it's coming out. So,
and Bad Boys Ride or Die is coming out on June 7th, and that's getting some great reviews, which I was shocked at. I don't know if you saw the Variety article on Friday. Massively great reviews.
Which one?
The Bad Boys film, the fourth Bad Boys.
Good.
So that could have some surprising legs as well.
Yeah. Okay, so we only have like one or two more things here to talk about in the topics. So, like I said, if you want to throw any of those, I saw all the super chats that came in. We're gonna get to all of them. We're gonna get to all your questions. So if you have anything, and I did say someone mentioned, and I love doing this too because it's becoming like a bit now. And someone said, like, why would you be moving to New York from LA? It's not that much cheaper. I'm not moving to Manhattan. That's what people always think. It's like I'm not moving to Manhattan. Like just to give you a breakdown. When I left LA, the gas prices were $7.
Yeah.
Where I am right now, they're $3.20.
Yeah.
If that gives you any indication, you're incorrect when you're comparing where I'm living comparing to LA. This I'm not living in the city. If you're thinking that I was living in Manhattan, then you are accurate. It is very, very expensive there.
Yeah, you've made it clear. You're not moving to New York City. You said New York. There's a difference. Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, so let's get to this last thing here. Okay. And then we'll get to the questions.
Sounds good.
All right. So this is, which let's just actually, you know what, John? This is something. There's actually two things. I forgot about this. Okay. I saw this the other day, and apparently there is a rumor running around the joint about James Mangold's Star Wars film, and apparently it's called Jedi Prime.
Yes.
So a year ago came the news from Star Wars Celebration in London that multiple new Star Wars films were in the works, including one to be directed by James Mangold. The project was dubbed as taking place in the dawn of the Jedi era of the Star Wars timeline and would be set 25,000 years before Episode 1. While the film doesn't have an official title yet, as shorthand people have been dubbing it Dawn of the Jedi, as Mangold has been at work on his Bob Dylan biopic in recent months, there have been little in the ways of updates. Now, speaking with SFX, producer Simon Emanuel appears to have potentially let a slip of a new title, saying James Mangold's Jedi Prime is set thousands and thousands of years before the original trilogy, and I'm excited to see what happens there. Emanuel produced Rogue One and the upcoming The Acolyte series, and is fairly familiar with his Star Wars terminology, which suggests the name isn't accidental. This would fit with Mangold's time period and desire to explore the Force's origins. Prime Jedi appeared in a mosaic in 2017's The Last Jedi. In the lore, they were the first Jedi to use the Force and founded the Jedi Order on the planet Ahch-To, where Luke went into hiding. Just when Mangold will get to work on the film remains an open question. John, we'll start with you.
Okay.
So, do you think that this is the name of the film?
No.
I
think that's a working title, and I think it'll change. Jedi Prime, that sounds like Transformers, and so to me it doesn't radiate Star Wars.
Use the Force.
Exactly. Jedis mount up, round up, no way, roll out. I don't think it will work at all, so I think it's just a working title for now, and then it'll eventually change to what they think it's going to, because we're a ways away from this film coming out, dude. So I'd be really surprised if they've already titled and they're going to stick with this title. I think it will change.
I think whether it was a working title, which I think you're probably spot on about, but even if it wasn't, and it was the title, they probably will change it now.
Yeah, because people's reaction wasn't strong or positive.
But the idea, we know what the idea was, and I'm so glad that Josh Horowitz asked this, and it didn't get more. It should have gotten way more coverage than it did. Benioff and Weiss, I remember hearing about this a long time ago before they even were announced, that what they were essentially working on was what Mangold is working on, right? It's like the same type, the same era, the origins of the Force, all of that.
Yeah.
And then they left the project, and it was kind of like rumored of what they were working on. Then they announced Mangold and all this stuff. And then Horowitz asked them about, like, is it weird that he's doing the same thing? And go back and watch their reaction. They're not like, they could have said, no, it was like, they did say they respected Mangold. They made that very clear, but they could have said something along the lines like, no, it was a completely different thing. The way that they made it seem was like, that was kind of our thing. And now it's not. That's not what they said, but it seemed to imply that. But Lucasfilm seemed to wanting to do this time period, this era in general. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with it and how they're going to make this work. And I think that this is definitely what the story is going to be, but the name of the title, probably not.
Yeah. But I mean, those guys can't say anything, right? Because of the NDA. But they can, as you said, facially show you what they're thinking about the situation. Yeah, of course they were. And it's a little embarrassing that you were coming off of Game of Thrones. You're going to work for Star Wars. You come up with this idea, then things fall apart and you get ushered off the project. Probably, I think, because of what happened in the final season of Game of Thrones. and they move on to someone else, and they're essentially pick up what you already started, and they let that person possibly take it to the finish line. Of course, you're going to be upset, but contractually and legally, you can't say what you really want to say, but you can say it with your face and let people fill in the blanks.
Yeah, and
So,
that's exactly what I think that they did.
Mm.
Okay, so let's move on to back to budgets.
Yeah.
And this was something that I just saw. Fast and Furious is one of these movie franchises that have been.
Oh,
It was the golden goose, man. It was making $1 billion every time it put something out there, and it showed that it was human after the pandemic and all this stuff too. The last movie. Last two haven't hit $1 billion, obviously.
Yeah.
And the last movie was a ridiculous budget. So this is, again, Dark Horizons. Universal Pictures' Fast and Furious franchise has been getting louder and more bombastic every entry, culminating in Fast X, which cost $340 million to make. So to no one's surprise, it didn't make a profit, and it made $715 million. That's a crime.
Yeah.
It made $715 million, and it didn't make a profit. That's ridiculous. Combined with a home video and other revenues, it barely managed to not be a loss.
Yeah.
So speaking with Variety, Donna Langley again said that there's still gas in the tank, slick, of this franchise, but makes it clear that if the franchise were to move forward after the 11th film in the series, it will likely keep its costs in check. So she says, where we go next is a question. We may pivot another time and bring it back to the streets of LA and maybe make it more intimate story. Langley also suggested a streaming spinoff, much that has been done for Perfect and Ted, and Fast and Furious is a good one, in response to a question of what other films it could be. Whether Universal's frugality regarding these movies will impact Fast 11 is too early to tell. It has long been suggested that the final entry will be set in Los Angeles, setting of the first film, which could help in terms of budget savings. I'm going to sound like a broken record. This is what every movie should do, especially the big IPs, which I don't get. I've mentioned this, and I always use the example of Terminator. And I think that we're going to do this for RoboCop. I don't know. I don't know if I made this up or this is an actual story that A24 was going to do like a RoboCop. I don't know. Is that did I make that up?
I can't recall. I thought Prime Video bought the IP for RoboCop.
But either way, like making a movie like what A24 does.
Yeah.
Bringing a budget down, like if you can take an IP like Terminator and going back to basics like it was in like 1984 and bringing down costs and get like one actor that people recognize and fill it with really good actors but not big names, and do that for big IPs in the same way that you like now granted you're not going to make a Jurassic Park for $50 million, but you can make it for 120.
Yeah,
you can do what you did for Kong and Godzilla. The last one cost like $125 million, and they made a lot of money off of it because it didn't cost $250 million to make.
Yeah.
So if they can do that kind of stuff, and Fast and Furious, if you made a Fast and the Furious, it's harder to do because you have such an inflated cast right now.
Right.
But if you were able to make a Fast and Furious movie, because I think this one, from what they said, they're scaling down and they're making it for $200 million. Which is like a small number to them. This movie, this movie should cost 120, but it's impossible because of all the talent you got involved.
Yeah. Cut the cast down. I think that's the way to go. And again, you come back to this. I'm not breaking any new ground by saying this, but Prey is the blueprint. Prey is the example that you can use if you can find a way back. And look, people ridicule the Fast and Furious franchise. It used to be bulletproof, but now the bullets are getting through. There's Salazzo shooting The Godfather. You can get to Fast and Furious now, and so that's affecting the box office. So how do you approach this? You pare it down. You bring it back to its base. Because going out into space, there's not much more else you can do now. You went out into space like everyone joked you were going to do in the last one. Fine, you're in on the joke. Now let's pare it down and let's rediscover the magic of why people loved this franchise or fell in love with this franchise to begin with. And that's that first movie. So do that, cut down the cast, and then go from there. And yes, it's fine. You're going to lose some really fun people you've had in the cast, but that's the game. And so I think that's the smart move, the 200 million, what have you, but we'll see. We'll see, man. We'll see.
Okay. So you guys, any of these topics that we've talked about today, make sure you put your comments in there. Tell us what you think about it. We want to hear your thoughts. We've got a lot of questions from you guys, tons of them. So I want to make sure that we get to all of them. But before we do, we got a brand new sponsor that I wanted to tell you about. And this one, and I think this is going to be a big one for people with kids also. At least it was for me. And that's Greenlight. So if you don't know about Greenlight in general, this message, it is sponsored by Greenlight, because when your kids are getting older, some things about parenting does get easier. And I know that for me, like when it comes to chores and it comes to other things, I can allowances and things of that nature. I want to make sure that my kids understand money and know what's going on. And you don't always want to have that conversation, because facts, kids don't really know how to manage it until they're in charge of it. And that's what happens with Greenlight. So what is it? Well, it's a debit card and it's a money app made for families, and parents can send money to their kids and they can keep an eye out on what the kids are spending and what they're saving, and while kids and teens are building money confidence and lifelong financial literacy skills. And to me, it was what I wanted to do to make sure that, okay, kid earned it. Here it is. Here's your card. And that way, it's their money. Do whatever they're going to do. Millions of parents and kids are learning about money on Greenlight. It's an easy, convenient way for parents to raise financially smart kids and families to navigate life together. So if you sign up for Greenlight today, and you can get your first month free, but you got to go to greenlight.com/big thing. You go to greenlight.com/big thing and try Greenlight for free. Greenlight.com/big thing. Yeah, so definite lifesaver there, because it's that's a good one. I was when they reached out, I was like, yeah, absolutely, man. It's a good way to teach your kids. So I'm glad that they did. Okay, let's get to these questions, John.
Okay.
I always get kind of humble when we start the show. Before we even start, there's people who put the questions in,
Yeah.
and there was some great questions that come in each and every time. So we're going to go all the way to the beginning of the show, where the first question was asked, and it usually always is. It's always our good buddy Mike Joyce. Mike always usually the first question. I think he prides himself on it now, and I love that about Mike. And he said, "If more like oof, oh man, what'd you guys think of it?" Well, we talked about it. We haven't seen it yet, but it looks like Mike saw it and did not like it.
Yeah, sounds like wow. Okay.
All right.
See, I don't know. It was a split. It was split. The reviews were split. Some people felt.
What was it on Rotten Tomatoes?
No, I'll look it up.
You double check, and we'll see who can follow Mike Joyce. I don't think there's only one person that could follow Mike Joyce. And that's Mike Joyce. And he said, "I started watching the Chucky movies because of Roxy doing reactions to them on the road. Right. All except the third one have been great. Seed of Chucky is my favorite. Is Chucky the best horror franchise? No. I mean, well, I not to me. And not to John, I don't think. I think that there's other franchises in the. It depends on what you're looking for, right? Like Chucky and Freddy were always the two like stand-up comedians of the slashers. Chucky always made me laugh. Freddy always made me laugh. But no, I wouldn't. I mean, to be honest with you, I heard the TV show for at least the first season was really good of Chucky, but I haven't seen the first movie I remember watching and really enjoying it. But no, I wouldn't call it the best franchise.
No. The fact that it spawned a TV series that went multiple seasons, and the fact that people come back to make this work, and you've got the voice of Brad Dourif doing that. I think Mark Hamill took over for a bit. So
he did like the reboot version. Yeah.
The reboot. Right. So you've got a good people involved in this. And clearly there's a fan base that loves the Chucky stuff. It's not the greatest horror franchise, but it's in the conversation of one of the best for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Next one. This is Elusive Rock. What's up, man?
Wait.
Jurassic World 4, Fast and Furious. I think that's what it is. I think FF is Fast and Furious, right? And Superman all drop in July 2025. Will all three hit $1 billion, and who makes the most? It's a great question. I think, like I said, it's that the $1 billion dart is harder to hit that bullseye these days.
Yeah.
It's just harder to hit the bullseye because of whatever reason it might be. It's just not as likely. So if you're asking between those, Jurassic World, Fast and Furious, and Superman, who I would pick if I had to bet money, Jurassic World, because that last movie was atrocious,
terrible,
atrocious, and it hit $1 billion. The movie before that, really bad, hit $1 billion.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with the proven number on that one because it also plays very well internationally. So does Fast and Furious. But I don't know. I hope Superman wins. That's my goal. My wish is I hope Superman wins out of those three. But I think realistically, I would say in the order that you put them in there: Jurassic World, Fast and Furious, and then Superman.
Yeah, I'd like to counter you, but I can't. You're right about Jurassic World. It is this franchise that I mean, they haven't made a good movie, in my opinion, since the first one. But you could argue maybe the second one or the third one is fun. But like to me, they somehow they are just untouchable. And that last one, as you said, is atrocious. Made well over $1 billion. Shocked that it did so well. So clearly, they don't have the high bar they have to hit in order to make that money. Superman, I don't know if that's going to make $1 billion, even if it's a fantastic film. I don't know if the interest is there to push it over $1 billion. And I think Fast and Furious, I think Vin has gotten too long in the tooth, and it's not motivating enough for people to go see it anymore, because that is a young person's franchise. Cars, hot rod cars, and all the things they're doing, all the different changes, the races, all that's young people stuff. Vin is in his 50s. It just doesn't make sense. They'd have to go back and find someone who was as charismatic as Vin when he was younger. I think that's going to bring the box office back.
Maybe.
But I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know if it'll happen. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next one, Josh Needle. Went to the movies on Saturday, and I was shocked by how many people came into 25 or 30 minutes late to the actual movie itself, or past the previews. Not only distracting, but I guess they missed the beginning of the movie. I would find another time. Is this a normal thing? Look, this is, as I said, I am blessed enough that majority of times that I'm going to the movies these days are through press screenings.
Yeah.
Most people are getting there 15 to 20 minutes early because they're not reserved seats, and you're trying to get your seats. So I am still, when it comes to press screenings, I'm still living in the early 2000s and the 90s as far as how people get their seats. But I have been to a few when you buy in the seats and and I still get there early. That's what I always do, especially if I'm with my kids, which is normally when I'm going to the movies.
Yeah.
When they're not press screenings. And I haven't seen a lot of that 15, 20 minutes. And I think people are probably saying to themselves, oh, we'll miss the previews and then we'll go. And maybe they're just, they miscalculate. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think they miscalculate. Or these are people sneaking in. That still happens. People sneak into theaters, buy a ticket for one thing and sneak into something else. But I think it's more a matter of them trying to gauge the previews and how long they're going to be. So yeah, that seems to be the case. But look, your overall point about theater etiquette, that's another thing we didn't add to our conversation. It's also getting worse to go to movie theaters now. People are more disrespectful than they've ever been before. People talk, people on their phones, people take calls and stay in the theater in the middle of movies. People talk really loud in movies now in a way they didn't before. People think it's their living room and I paid for their fucking commentary. So there's all that happening, as that also adds to reasons why people aren't going to the movie theaters in the same manner that they did before.
Yeah, that's a fair point. All right, next one. Here it is. Armada. Best Tribe Called Quest album. Love Low End Theory. Well, Low End Theory is my favorite, but if you're going to take that one, I'll take Midnight Marauders.
Yeah, I have to go Midnight Marauders.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, that's my jam.
Okay. Let's see. Next one here. Great questions so far. And like I always say, I saw there are a lot of new people to the stream for the first time that we do it live. We don't miss a question. If we do, we go back and we'll make it up next week. But we try to get every single question, and there's no cutoff. So if you want to start throwing questions in now, as I saw someone just did it, we will. Yep, and another one just came in. So thank you. All right. So Carlton Rudder, the great Carlton Rudder. Shout out to Carlton Rudder, who was right before I got here. I was coordinating. We got something for the studio for us too. Nice. So very, very helpful, very kind. So thank you, Carlton. London Calling, the lack of respect that some cinema goers is getting worse. I hope cinema now means they treat theaters as an extension of their own couch. Yeah, I think that's a generation thing, though, man. I think I really do, and I think that it's also because there's just not a lot of theater etiquette, and I think, and maybe I'll sound like the grouchy old man on the porch at this point, but I think that's how they look at people who say, put your phone down, do this, do that. They go, oh, you're just okay, boomer. But you know what I mean? It's like, it seems like they don't understand that it's like you said, John, you're not in your living room. You're at an experience with other people.
And you can't say shit because then they get all upset and it becomes a whole issue. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So here is Pete Parker, 2288. I saw Fall Guy this weekend. I thought it was just okay. No movie this year has really been that great, in my opinion. I think Beekeeper is my number one so far. Beekeeper was a lot of fun. I will strongly disagree and say that Dune 2 is one of the best movies in the last 10 years. But that's my opinion. But Dune 2 was fantastic. Furiosa is good. I really liked Apes, and Beekeeper was a fun action movie. So
but I could tear apart that third act like nobody's business, for God's sake. So don't tell me that's the best film in the year.
It's one that he enjoyed the most, but
fair enough.
For sure.
But Dune 2 is the best film.
Yeah.
Maybe Oscar winner.
The Big Fang. I like that. Caught up on my backlog of episodes and able to join live. I'm glad that you did. Thoughts on Logan versus Cody? What is that? Logan.
Logan Paul taking on Cody. Yeah.
Yes. Feels like they should have went a different direction if it wasn't winner takes all. I think it would be a colossal error if they give Cody the U.S. title. It would be stupid, and it would be just to make him a Grand Slam champion. That would be dumb. It'll also diminish Paul, who is I think that claim of him being the longest current champion right now is they should stick with that.
Yeah,
they should continue to go with that, and they should let him hold on to that U.S. title for almost as long as Gunther held on to the IG title. Let him hold on to it, and because that title, it needs more validity to it.
Yeah, 100%. I think this is great for Logan and Cody, two of the top superstars going at it, arguably in their primes. Cody's still on the tail end of his prime, but still damn good. And Logan coming into his own as a wrestler. This is so much fun, and it's an exciting program.
Yeah.
Getting caught up on who gets the belt or doesn't get, that's all nonsense. We want to see two great wrestlers have fun in the program. This is absolutely going to lead to a disqualification by Logan or a double DQ in some way. And so that nobody loses any kind of title, but they both look good in the program. And that's
because it's overseas, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that's another reason why they want to have two big names.
Yeah.
Headlining over there. And there was a clean finish with AJ.
Yes,
it's okay not to have a clean finish on this one, and also you want to elevate. What you do is you want to get down the line, because if Logan Paul keeps at it, he'll be in a much different position in the next year or two.
Yeah,
and that you can always use this as part of the history that sells him and Cody down the line.
Yeah. People get mad when I say this, but the WWE doesn't need MJF. They don't need MJF. They have so many great potential stars already. They don't use him. But they could use him. They don't need him. There's a difference.
Yeah, it's like they don't need him the way AEW needs him.
Right.
But they would love to have him, and I would love to have him, because what I do think that the WWE needs, though, why I would say that they need him in a certain way. I don't think they need him for success, but I think they need him. They don't have a lot of great mic workers. They don't have a lot of great.
That's fair point.
Their best mic worker is a 44-year-old guy who's got maybe 2 more years left in the tank in CM Punk. Right?
You're being kind by saying 2.
Maybe. Right. Yeah. Maybe. I mean, he's going to be around, I think, with WWE. I mean, look at him now, dude. He's having so much fun again.
100%.
And so, like, having him, like, being able, if he's, and what a great story it would be that he was able to kind of, squash everything, come back, be an announcer, do all these things, because that's what he's going to be doing. He's great on the mic. But my point, Drew McIntyre is getting much better on the mic.
100%.
Really good. But there's not a lot of great people on the mic right now. I love Cody, but he's not great on the mic.
Cody is good on the mic. He's not great on the mic. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Absolutely right. All right. Let's see. Next one. Al Renshaw, I hope Rocha will buy Kristian a steak dinner. Oh, you don't have to hope. It's going to happen.
We'll see.
Yeah, he knows it too. I know John well enough that John just not gonna. John will tell us after the bet's over that he pretty much conceded once the trailers and stuff came out. He already knows. I know John well enough that he knows that he's lost anymore, because he's also not defending his points. Yeah, look, he knows.
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
He knows. The big thing. Thoughts on the new Bloodline? Paul's reactions have been great, and I think Solo and Thomas' character work had added a new dynamic.
No, it sucks. It sucks. It sucks. It's the worst. The Bloodline now is like watching the sons of the great people come through and think they can take over and have the same kind of cachet, and they don't. It is so rough watching this stuff. I'm a crazy person. Let me off the leash. Come on, man. It's nonsense. Bloodline at the peak had great drama, acting, storylines, promos, and matches to back it all
Well, you
up.
know why they're doing this.
Yeah, this is like watching The Office once Steve Carell left. It was not good.
But the difference is that they know Steve Carell is going to come back in this circumstance.
I don't think he's going to come back to the bloodline though.
There's going to be two factions now. Like what's going to happen? What's going to happen is that if they can hold it for this long, if they can hold out Roman Reigns coming back at the Rumble, if they can hold it, I mean it's a long time, but if they can hold it for that long, and then the Usos and Roman get back together against these guys, they don't have the kind of electricity that
these guys aren't formidable. So even if they do fight these guys, it's like,
that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's like beating your 10-year-old brother.
Yeah, they gotta find a way to make them more menacing. Miguel Zion, over under 30% that all the footage that we've seen from Deadpool 3 are from the 30 to at most 45 minutes of the movie. I hope it's paced well and there are still emotions. I'm going to say that it's over 30%. I think that's something that they've done very well. I think the majority of those trailers have been just from the beginning of that movie, and I think that's a great way to do it. What do you think? Over under?
Absolutely over, but I would argue it's only the first 15 to 20 tops.
Good.
Yeah.
Good, and I hope that's the truth.
Yeah.
Miguel, you followed up by a heartbreaker. How about the Pacers? Who wins it all? I think the Celtics win it all.
Celtics now with the Nuggets gone.
Yeah.
I think that's absolutely the Celtics to lose. Like they have to win it.
Yeah,
and Celtics Wolves is going to be a damn good series. I don't think the Mavs are going to beat the Wolves. I think the Celtics are going to absolutely pace the Pacers. And I think Celtics Wolves is going to be real interesting. What a high power offense versus an incredibly tough defense. It's going to be, and the emergence of Anthony Edwards. It's going to be a blast, dude.
True. Yeah. Mike, you shaved. You look great with a big beard. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about the big beard, but I only shaved because stupidly. This is why. Now that you asked, I'll tell you the reason. I was in the new place, and I was shaving, and with the trimmers that I have, and I went too close with one of it, and it was so off. It looked so stupid. I was like, I gotta get rid of it all. So stupid. But it'll grow back fast. It's got to grow back before I get home. At least the stubble's got to come back, because the little one does not like clean shaven me at all. My wife doesn't like it anymore either. Gabe Oliveira, thoughts on trigger warnings before shows and movies? Oh, I saw this. Goodfellas hit the news. I'll explain this. Okay. I saw this the other day. Goodfellas hit the news recently, and Apple's news show Sugar spoiled an episode of a character's fate. So recently, I forget what channel it was on. I think AMC, they put that Goodfellas depicts stereotypes and all these different things. And I'm like, what are you doing? This movie is so many years old. What are we doing? It's like this is the part of it where there's certain times where you should be sensitive to certain things, that certain cultures and other things. At other times, like what are you talking about? And I don't know what it was as far as Sugar goes, but you should do everything you can to protect, your story. That if you tell somebody what happens, and like he said, well, clearly that's going to happen to this person, and there you go. I think that people are too damn sensitive about everything. Everybody, and we just had this conversation with a comedian friend of mine the other day. If they get offended by every single thing, you can't do certain things. And like to do that for the Goodfellas was just, it's idiotic.
Yeah.
Idiotic.
That's
an Italian, John.
Yeah, I know. It's too far. That's too, I mean, look, I get the reputation all the time. This Kristian, John Rocha and all that. And if you've lost me, you've really gone
doing something wrong. You're doing something wrong. If Rocha's the one telling you, come on, that's too much.
Pull it back. Because I think Kristian's right. There are certain things, yes, you'll be respectful and understanding, and it's okay to do that. And no matter what anybody cries about, it's the right thing to do. But
studio executive comes running in. Hey guys, remember we said that? Yeah. Obviously, Rocha will have our back. He didn't. Pull him.
It's nonsense. Fucking nonsense. Good. It's a mafia movie.
It's so stupid. Armada. Do you think Horizon is going to be a bomb? Should they have a backup plan if the first one doesn't work well at the box office? Which one's Horizon?
The Kevin Costner Western.
So
the reviews are up today, this morning. Yeah.
All right. So then I don't know if you've seen the reviews,
I just read the Variety one this morning.
And
they're saying it's good, but it's kind of a setup. So it's a thinner movie, and they wanted
the movie was coming out 2 months later. That's the concern for me.
Right.
Because you look at Matrix 2 and Matrix 3, they came out like 5 or 6 months apart from one another. And that was like, whoa, those are close. This is like, I've never heard of them. I don't know any movie that's ever done that before.
Right. But I mean, I think you can only get away with it in a year like this when you have less movies coming out.
I agree.
So that's why it's just a unique situation. Costner's doing something unique. God love him, man. How many years now? 4 or 5 decades he's been in our lives, Kristian.
Yeah, I know you're excited for this. Is right up your alley.
100%. I didn't do a reaction to the new trailer because I already reacted to the first one. It was fine. I don't need to react to more. And this one's coming out in a couple of weeks or 3 weeks, and so I'm looking forward to it.
I just wonder how the Western is going to play,
especially a 3-hour one, brother.
I know.
Yeah,
I know. So I don't know. It's a very fair point to ask. X-Men fan cast. Rocha, would it be smart for Glenn Powell to try to get Cyclops role based on his career trajectory? Also, thoughts on Jacob Elordi as Gambit instead of Austin Butler, Bardem as Apocalypse. So let's start with the first part. Go with the Glenn Powell.
I think it depends on how you're writing the X-Men movie. If I'm Glenn Powell, I don't take it if you're treating him like they treated James Marsden, right? It has to be a much more front-facing Cyclops film. Like, he has to be a very big part of the movie. Whereas Glenn Powell, as you said, Glenn Powell's trajectory, it makes a logical sense for him not to take a part and be the ensemble, but be one of the main leads. And so I think it's got to be how it's written. So I like that idea. Jacob Elordi as Gambit, sure, that's fun. I mean, you really
who's good
one Elvis for the other. It's either one, it's fine. But and Bardem as Apocalypse, I'd be down with it, especially because he's not Dr. Doom now. So I think that would be interesting for him as Apocalypse.
But here's why: like, if they cast Austin Butler as Gambit, I mean, you'd be like, okay, of course, it's Austin Butler. He's getting everything right now. But would he be great as Gambit? He would. And I actually really like him, and I'd be like, that's a great casting choice. But I would go more towards the Jacob Elordi casting because he's a very good actor. He was great in Saltburn, but he's also not going to carry the same price tag that Austin Butler does.
Good point.
And right now, if you're Marvel and you're Disney, you have to be paying attention. I know that you guys are sick of me saying it, but it's very important. And I just keep beating this drum of budget. If you can find a talented actor that can pull it off, as opposed to getting the big priced talent that you don't need for this role, you go with the really good actor for the smaller price tag. That's what I would suggest if I'm sitting in that boardroom.
I'll tell you, no one's talking about. I think Austin would be great as Hal Jordan in Green Lantern.
Yeah,
young, cocky, good-looking dude who gets this mantle thrust upon him. He would be an awesome, and he might be waiting for a lead role. You know?
Francisco Lopez, 1 to 2. Hey guys, I finally watched the Iron Claw. I'm a wrestling fan. I knew about the Von Erichs, but man, the way they depicts it is really sad. Super, super sad. And it's a tough. I mean, you know what's so funny is that that movie, it absolutely like leveled me when I saw it in the theater. But I've seen it. It keeps popping up on it. My wife hasn't seen it, and it popped up somewhere else too. I can't bring myself, and I said this too, I can't bring myself to watch it again. It's a great movie.
I can't do it.
It's too hard to watch. It's like it's
so depressing.
Yeah, it's super depressing, and it's like, and I just don't know if I can watch it again. And I do think that Zac Efron was robbed. Like, no nominations anywhere. Like, I get the argument of people going, well, who should you take out if you're going to take somebody out of the Oscars? Golden Globes, SAG, anything, like nothing. I mean, that was his best performance like ever.
Yeah, 100%. And if nothing else, it kind of, for Zach, hopefully opens the door to other things. I saw people suggesting him for Cyclops. Look, that could be interesting. I like that idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, that movie's on Max now. It's like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Schindler's List for me. These are two films that absolutely decimate me, and I can only watch it once like every few years. And so I think Iron Claw is that same kind of thing. And they even left out one brother who committed suicide, and
right.
that could have even been more depressing for God's sakes. Yeah.
Okay. Again, guys, thank you for all the questions. I see more coming in. Just keep asking. We're going to keep answering. Column Fadian. Premier player of the second season, Rocha. I'm going Foden. Hold on. Whoop.
Phil Foden, yeah, Phil Foden, absolutely great player. Congrats to Man City. Fuck Arsenal. Ha ha ha! Ha ha! All that, and you didn't win a trophy, and you came in second place. Yeah, you're a couple of points above us. Second place. Suck it. So I am happy that Arsenal didn't win a thing this season. Those fans are crazy. Crazy, man.
That's what I heard. All right, next one. Francisco Lopez. And when Kevin said I used to be a brother, and now I'm not a brother anymore. Yeah, it was brutal.
Yeah,
Brutal. He said it to his kids. Oh, brutal. Yeah, it's very powerful film.
Yeah, man.
Big thing. Got my tickets this morning. 50-50 if it will be a hit because it's rated R. Only Joker has made $1 billion and 4 movies over 750. First 2 Deadpool included. I mean, that's it. It's fair to. I mean, that's one of the reasons why it's a hard bet to make about the $1 billion in general. But again, the bet was 750. But we'll be all right. But it is still. It's got the difference is that it also has an opportunity because of all the cameos and all those things too. I know that people are worried about it's going to be a cameo fest, but don't forget the power of the cameo as far as box office dollars.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Once those cameos start leaking too, people are hesitant to go.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, look at the Henry Cavill cameo thing. I would really love to find a way to get the actual number of what that movie would have done box office wise had it not had that cameo. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean.
Like that got a lot of people in the theater.
Spin that one. Anyway,
Dark Trader Turncoat. Dark Archie tried watching Obi-Wan Kenobi again, and it didn't get better with time. Yeah, why can't Disney produce character-driven Star Wars stories like the original trilogy, or great shows out there like Shogun? I think. Well, I mean, I don't know where you stand on this, Darth, but I mean, Andor to me is a way that if they start approaching shows like that, they can get there. And I think Andor proves that Andor is treated very maturely, and Andor was treated in a way that was on par, and a reason why it was nominated for all the types of awards that it was, and with acting and everything else too, and writing, is because it was handled like any other show, like a House of the Dragon or like a Shogun or any of those types of things. So you can, but the problem is when you start like as I have a lot of respect for Filoni. I don't think he's the right guy to be running this whole thing. And I think that the Obi-Wan's, even though he wasn't necessarily involved in that, I think he's consultant on it. And I think that the same thing with Ahsoka. No, the writing in Obi-Wan was atrocious. But so it's just a matter of, I think that it's their approach in general. It's just they have a different approach.
Yeah, man, it's weird. I'm always of the place of like, Star Wars now just feels like a big blue balls tease. It's just blue balls. You get this idea like, oh my God, we're getting Kenobi back, but we're going to distract you with all these other storylines and not really get to it until the final matchup there. And it's a great fight, but did we build to it correctly? And Hayden is barely in it with all this talk about him coming back. And then the Ahsoka started. I rewatched the first 2 episodes the other day. I'm like, it started out so strongly, and then it just completely peters as the show goes along. Wait, there's no big deal about Ezra being in this. Like, we're not even going to explore how long he's been out here, what he's discovered, and that he's changed in any way. And so there's just so much that of unrealized potential in this.
Bad writing.
Because I think because they have to serve too many masters. You have to make sure the pew 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 crowd is happy. You have to make sure the kids are cool, and they have to make sure you can keep enough of the adults. And Filoni, as you said, Filoni is no fan of Andor. I think it's very clear. But that's the route they need to go if they want to save Star Wars. But too many people don't want to go their route. And there's a lot of fans who didn't like Andor because they don't like that it isn't kid-friendly and the pew-pew-pew stuff, which is so frustrating. Because I agree with you, Kristian. That's the way to save Star Wars. And they won't do it.
They can actually make it like, I mean, and the other thing that I've been saying many times, they have so many talented authors over, whether it's legend or canon stuff.
100%.
That a lot of times, like you look at Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, what did everyone say? The reason why the series kind of dipped was when they lost the essence of those books. Right?
Yeah, when they went off the books. Yeah.
And they have countless amounts of well-written books and stories. They haven't adapted a one.
Right.
One. And they have, and canon, legends, they're right in front of your face, and you could turn many of them into films. You could turn them into Disney Plus series. You can turn them into mini series. You can turn them into Disney Plus movies. They haven't touched a one. It is an absolute. I'm sorry. It's a moronic decision that they've never even touched it.
It's because they're scared. They just want to go with the safe stuff, bro. They rarely make that. That's why Andor is such an anomaly.
That's safe. That's about as safe as it comes. No, what it comes down to, and again, in my opinion, is I don't think Filoni and those guys value that in the same way that Lucas didn't value those books as much. Right. He never looked them as canon. And I think that as much as there's a lot of things that I'm grateful for that Filoni takes the George Lucas approach as far as storytelling goes. I think there's a lot of stuff that he holds so close to the vest in the way that George looks at stuff that he doesn't allow himself outside the box. And that's why I think he should be producing stuff, directing stuff, but he shouldn't be in charge of the whole thing. I think that's fair. That's
fair. But you look at Acolyte, dude, that's an original thing. They're going down the path and trying. Leslie Headland is a damn good showrunner with some pretty hardcore stuff under her belt as a creator, yet all these Star Wars fans are already burying it. So how can you take chances when Star Wars fans are also a huge contingent of them with YouTube channels want to roll in and destroy it before they even see it?
I want to see it. I want to see the show first. I want to see the show first, because what I'm not is in the same, and I agree with you. I agree with you on that happens too, but let's also call it the other side too, that there is that everything is awesome type crew too, that is like, because it's
100%
and there's a lightsaber. Oh my God, there's a lightsaber whip. This is amazing. It's like, it's not. And it's like, and I've seen people who are talking about how like, this is the best time to be a Star Wars fan. I'm like, it isn't, because for me as a Star Wars fan, I like the idea when everybody was on the same page. Even the people who hate stuff now, like a lot of people, like look at Mandalorian season 1. When Mandalorian season 1 came out, it seemed like everybody stopped fighting for a second. And they're like, oh, okay, they're actually making great stuff again. I was like, that to me is a great time to be, in the Star Wars fandom, because people are like, it's like the Civil War has stopped. When people and people will always say, like, look at Marvel's phases 1 through 3. Always had some people who didn't like Marvel, but for the most part, that was a good time to be a comic book movie fan. Right now, not as much, because it's like on the decline. So when they start getting their stuff back in order, and maybe Acolyte's fantastic, maybe it's great, but I don't have much hope in it, but I hope that it's good.
I'm in the same place. I hope that it's good. I like what we've seen so far. I hope that it's good. Yeah.
All right. Travis L. Marshall, The Outlaw Rules. Don't agree with them always. Saving Private Ryan. What'd you say about Saving Private Ryan?
Well, I think Shakespeare in Love deserved the best.
All right. That's all I have for that. Sorry. my favorite Spielberg movie, man.
I tell you, I watched about an hour of it the other day on Pluto TV, brother. I think I may need to do a rewatch of this.
Okay, fair. So you look at you.
It's been a while.
I want to know what kind of weekend you had this. Look at you.
Hey man, we all go through things. We all wake up.
You look at the maturity on the Outlaw. Only took 87 years. All right, but he tries to be fair. Look, I mean, he just proved that.
Yeah,
love you, brothers and Roxy. Keep up the great work. Thank you.
Love Roxy.
Very cool.
Roxy was in here, Kristian. I don't think you saw. She was in here at the beginning of the show. Very nice, Roxy.
Oh, no, I didn't see. All right, let's see. Let's go to the next one. But that's watch Saving Private Ryan, and if you can, watch it in surround sound. That's how you do it.
Fair point.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite movies.
I've always felt that the first half an hour is so goddamn good that everything else afterwards pales in comparison. But rewatching it again for the hour that I watched, it's like there's much more here than I remember. So
yeah. Oh, have you only seen it once before that?
I've seen it like 3 or 4 times, but like way back when, like decades ago. So like when it first came out. So
okay, I'd like to see.
I hadn't revisited in a bit. So yeah.
Okay, this might be the last one. Maybe not. Luke Walks the Sky. I also think that theater etiquette is the main problem we're having as well. Yes, absolutely. People that won't shut up while the movie's playing, babies crying. Yeah, I mean, it's been bad for a very long time. But people can be very selfish, and people can, feel like, oh, if I got out of the house and I can bring my kid with me. And it's like, no, but there's other people that you have to be thinking about. So, I agree with you. Theater etiquette stinks. It absolutely does.
I agree. Yeah.
Dat Boy 22. If was great. Felt like a live action Pixar movie. I love that. Okay. Yeah. So like you said, John, we got some mixed reviews.
It's certainly split.
Yeah. Okay. Luke Walks the Sky. Favorite part of the Tyson versus Jake Paul press conference was Tyson making reporters nervous. So he always did. It was the best, old school, especially that one who called Tyson a gimmick. He's like, "What'd you call me?" He's like, "I didn't call you nothing." "What'd you call me?" That's exactly what you say. That reporter handled that exactly like he should have. What'd you call me? Nothing. I didn't say anything. What did you just say about me? I didn't say anything. 100%. That was so good. So
That's
good.
him dipping back in the old Tyson, which
Yeah.
scares everybody, man.
Tyson's press conference. I mean, and he's just when he says to him, he's like, look, he's out of shape. He's supposed to be in shape. He's not in shape. And then Jake Paul's like, well, neither was Buster Douglas. You ain't no Buster Douglas. So good. So good. Mike Joyce, New York crew. Will the LA crew be on less now? No. Absolutely not. But what I want to do is I want to make sure that people who are like, oh, it's just going to be, first of all, John and I are the only StreamYard channel on this channel, and that will be phased out because I am not a fan. No offense, StreamYard, but I'm not a fan of StreamYard at all. And I feel like I'll be doing more. I've just got to figure out how to do the OBS chats and everything. Well, the OBS I know how to do. That's how I've been running the show with. It's the live version of the OBS. I just got to work a little bit more. But I did a show the other day with Coy and Winston. It came out good. I just got to fix Coy's lighting. But there's little things that we'll be moving on. Same thing. And the other thing is we're gonna have Coy and Winston in the same room. We're gonna have. I just have to figure out what to do. Like I might mix and match some of the LA crew for because if I do one show, probably I got to figure it out. But we're still gonna have the same crew. So,
what'd you do with your house in the studio in your house? What'd you do with your house? Did you sell it? Did you rent it?
Another conversation another time, man.
Okay, all right.
Another time. The Dart Double 05. Harloff, how did you celebrate Man City's win? Right, I'm gonna tell you exactly how I did. Who are you supporting this summer? Copa America? Will you be attending any of the blue? Yeah, hold on. That's exactly how I did it.
Jesus, I hope that was for me and he mistook you and put Harloff because my parents are Bolivian. Your parents aren't Bolivian. What would you care about Bolivia's games?
I think he's either doing it for a goof or he messed up the name. Yeah, I like that. I answer that one.
Love it.
All right, so Luke walks the sky. Hey, John, congrats to Jurgen on a legendary run for Liverpool. Definitely in the conversation as one of the best managers in football. Top two is Carlo Ancelotti.
Yeah.
Close. And Pep Guardiola.
Guardiola.
I probably could meet them in the street here. But congratulations, whatever that means.
Yeah. Jurgen, after 9 years, our manager retired or at least left.
Okay. I think I saw your post on that.
All right. Crying about it, but yeah, fantastic stuff.
Galagos, there he is.
Hey.
Fellas, welcome to the East Coast. Thank you. As Star Wars fans, did you see the Jenny Nicholson Star Cruiser vid? I did not. It's hysterical and baffles me how Disney expected folks to enjoy Spirit Airlines in space. Cheers. Because you know what it is, dude? It's this idea, and this is where it comes down to it, where there was a time, and maybe they're realizing it's not anymore. I think they realize it now, where the studio execs are like, oh, it's what's his face? Chapek did with Marvel. Oh, it doesn't matter. As long as it's Marvel, they'll watch it. As long as it's Marvel, they'll do it. It doesn't have to be. It can be. Scale it down just a little bit. Same thing. It's Star Wars. And you see that conversation with the studio exec going, you could put a hot dog and color it red and call it the lightsaber hot dog, and these people will eat it. Right. And that's the same thing. It's a cruiser. We'll put stars on the thing. They'll spend thousands of dollars. And they said, the hell we will. It's a garbage freaking airline. It's a garbage cruise. It's garbage. Cut it out.
Yeah.
And finally, maybe they're listening.
Yeah.
Okay. Luke walks the sky. Senor John, do you think Argentina will have the most pressure with the Copa America coming up? I need ChatGPT to translate this to me. Than the World Cup in 2026, especially for Messi.
No, man, because they've won a World Cup. They don't need it. They're good to win the Cup. If they win the Copa America, it's great, but they don't need it. Brazil won it in 2019. I think they're the ones who need it because they haven't won a World Cup in a bit. So I think they're much more needing one. So, yeah.
All right. Elusive Rock, FF, Fantastic Four. Thank you. Okay, so if I go back there to those three, what does better, Superman or Fantastic Four? Is really I still take Jurassic World.
Yeah, I still take Jurassic World as well because, as I said, people don't know these. The cast of Fantastic Four is great, but it's not a big, well-known cast in terms of, it's not Tom Cruise and shit. So I think to me that's going to affect it. Yeah,
maybe, but I'm
still
going to go Fantastic Four over Superman. I don't want it. If you ask me what I want Superman to be the top one of the year.
You're saying Jurassic World, Superman, Fantastic Four is what you're saying.
No, I'm saying Jurassic World, Fantastic Four.
Superman. Gotcha.
I still think the Marvel brand carries more power, even though it'll be
Okay.
DC's first big one.
Okay.
Superman carries a lot of power, obviously, but I don't know just yet.
Okay.
Don't know. Tiberius Monk, Kristian and John, thanks for the great content. Thank you.
There you are.
I celebrated my 40th birthday on Mother's Day. Happy birthday. And I'd love to hear advice on turning 40. Keep up the great content from you both and take care. What I will say is the advice that I just had this conversation with someone else too. Do not, no matter what, if you're turning 40, if you're turning 50, if you're turning 60, don't look at yourself and say, oh my God, I'm getting old. Because when you are 50, Tiberius, when you're 50 years old, you're going to go, oh my God, I wish I was 40 again. You know, it's like, because when I remember when I turned 30 and I was like, oh my God, I'm turning 30. Right. And I'm like, wish I could be 30 for 5 more days. You know what I mean? And it's like, so just enjoy every day. It's cliche, I know, but just enjoy it. Enjoy every single day of what you got. 40 years young.
I don't know. I mean, when I turn 40, I will let you know. But I know for me,
Yeah.
No, I think Kristian's right. Look, here's the thing: your body's going to start breaking down. You're going to have weird pains in weird places that you never thought before, and you want to run to the doctor. Relax.
Yep.
And eat better because you're not going to be able to burn it off like you used to.
Right.
Stretch out more than you used to.
A lot of gas.
People are going to make fun of you. Deal with it because your body's going to feel better.
Right.
They're not going to be in your body, so let them make fun of it. Who cares?
Eat better. Yeah, eat better.
Eat better and walk. I mean, walk is massive. At least half an hour.
Yeah, I was eating better until this trip to New York. I'll tell you that. Cowboys fan 92. Hey, John and Harlow, here's my Deadpool 3 box office prediction for the first 3 to 4 weeks due to its selling out plus hype. I'm calling it here. Okay. Over $3.9 billion.
What?
3.9 billion? No, I can't. Right.
Okay.
300. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
3.9 billion? That can't be right.
I don't think that's
by the end of the week.
No.
5? That can't.
I don't know what he's saying.
I can't. You can't. You can't. No.
Yeah.
Well, then I will bet you. How will you? I'll make you a bet. If it makes $3 billion, I'll give you all my equipment in the studio. And if it doesn't, then you got to send my kids to college. if that's what that actual bet was. Luke Walks the Sky. Top goated rap albums to me is Ready to Die and Life After Death from B.I.G. It's a great one. I really like Liquid Swords. I like a lot of stuff from there's a lot of different ones too. I was listening to old school Big Daddy Kane the other day, by the way.
Oof.
Yeah, love Big Daddy Kane.
I love it.
Okay, we do have a couple more left. Actually, I was wrong.
Yeah.
Francisco Lopez, what's your thoughts of the Diddy video and his apology? Well, I mean, disgusting on the video.
Oh my God, horrific.
Like watch. I mean, we were sitting on the we're having a beer when we were talking at that bar. We're showing in the back, and it's just so brutal. And then the apology was just like, I know that sometimes when someone makes an apology, and the audience, people will just jump at them right away and go, "You just apologize because you got caught. You just apologize, you got caught." And sometimes I think that's harsh. Not here.
Yeah,
this is someone who said all these accusations against me are false. Well, now this video. I'm sorry, and he never mentioned her once by name.
Nope. 2 weeks ago, he was defiant in that Instagram post. Yeah. You're attacking my character, but now he's like, "Hey, I did some therapy, and I see the error of my ways." And everybody's out there and this is the narrative that I hate the most. Only God can judge me. Bullshit.
Right.
Everybody can judge you.
Right.
Judges can judge you.
Right.
We have judges from local county judges.
You can say God is the only judge that I care about.
That's fair.
You can say that, but you can't say that he's the only one who's allowed to.
Yeah. Nonsense.
That's nonsense. Yeah. Chris Minor, excuse me. Who wins King of the Ring this weekend? Gunther.
I don't know. Who do you got? I don't really care, to be honest. Gunther? Yeah, okay, fine. Gunther wins.
Carlton Rudder. Who earns more, Inside Out or Despicable Me? That's a great question.
That's tough.
Brett and I Roxy were on the show. We're talking about it. It's so funny because Brett was doing predictions and he predicted a lot of things wrong. One of the things that he predicted, I forget which one. He said Fall Guy would be the biggest of May, but then he said at one point that Despicable Me would eat it. And then we started looking at the box office, and he starts laughing, and he's on. I'm going to change my bet because all these, the last few of them all made $1 billion, whatever. Yeah. So I think Despicable Me. I think it's very similar to what I was saying with Jurassic World. It's like one of those movies that just has the magic behind it.
I don't know that all the new emotions are going to work. So I think there's more of an X factor of Inside Out 2 underperforming or not doing well versus Despicable Me doing well. Because it looks like they're following the same formula. So I think Despicable Me definitely over Inside Out 2.
Call me Jabba. Hey guys, I love the live episodes on Monday. I haven't heard you all talk about Bad Batch since it ended. Have you finished it? Thoughts? And follows it with Ditch Big Balls. Well, I'm sure that's going to end well for you. So as far as Bad Batch goes, no, I didn't finish it. It's one of those things. I'm going to get to it. I'll get to it, but I'm not. It was a show that every time I watched it towards the last few episodes, I was into it, and I said, okay, I want to see where this goes. But there's other things that I wanted to watch, so I didn't continue with it. Did you finish it?
Yeah, we finished it. We reviewed it on the Jedi Way. Laura, Kelly, and Smets and I, we had a lot of fun reviewing it. And this was the best season of Bad Batch, and it was a lot of fun to watch it. I like the way it ended. I do think there was a little bit of a letdown that Asajj was only in one episode, and there was there's some criticisms I had about it. But overall, I thought this was the Bad Batch we'd been waiting for. So I really like this season. That's what I would say.
You want a criticism? I'll give you criticism.
Oh, no.
When somebody calls in and says, ditch big balls, I'll tell you what, I'll put my balls in a ditch. You know what I'm saying, Rocha? You know what I'm saying, you sloppy ass.
I didn't say anything.
You know, I know, because you know. You don't want to mess with me, man. And neither call me these guys. Some of these bastards, they say, get rid of big balls. Get rid of big balls. That's because they just can't get the pussy like me. That's right. Yeah, that's right. You can shake your head, but you know it's true. I've been walking around in bars fucking. That's all I do. That's all I do. And this guy wants to get rid of me. Eat my asshole.
Wow.
Strong statements.
He went really after it.
Wow. Big balls. Calm down, Big Balls.
Yeah.
Easy.
That's one of my, Big Balls has turned into the Finstock of this era. Some people want to get rid of him. Some people want to keep him. The more people that want to get rid of him, the more he shows up. So, Armada, did you all see that Logan the Wolverine short film? That shit is crazy. Imagine Wolverine in the Viking times. No, did you see it?
Yeah, it was incredible for a fan film. My God,
I gotta check it out. All right, I'll check it out.
Definitely.
Chris Miner also saw If. Very disappointing. Yeah, look at you, John. You're right. I mean, very, very mixed. Yep. Very mixed. So I'll have to check that out. Okay. Mad Sinister McCall saw Zone of Interest, and it pissed me off. I wish Tarantino would rewrite history. What a good movie that was, but disturbing. You couldn't watch it again. Yeah, I couldn't bring myself to watch it in the first place. It was too tough. I heard great things about it, but I couldn't do it.
Damn good movie. Same director did Sexy Beast, which we just finished covering on the Cinephiles, and John the Glazer's good director. The movie is rough to watch. But that's a movie that I'm probably never going to see again, maybe one more time.
Yeah.
Because of the subject and the material. So yeah, I agree. Those are tough ones to watch. Schindler is another one that I would add, as I said.
Yeah, too. Carlton Rudder. John, if you need something for your channel, hit me up.
Oh.
In reference to last week, while I'm at the bar, I'll have a Coke. I don't drink. Amazing. Nope. Well, yeah. Next time, my friend. Next time.
Yeah. Thank you, Carlton. We'll take you up.
Roga.
Yo, Owen.
Haskell. Hey guys. D&W Thursday BO production.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
25 mil. No. Oh, Thursday box office prediction.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go higher. I'm gonna say 30. I'm gonna say it's that big. I'm gonna go 30.
I'm gonna go 20.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm still kind of hesitating.
All right. Luke Walks the Sky. Got my 3 tickets this morning at 9, one for each format. I'm super optimistic, especially with how Ryan treats this IP, him and Sean. I have faith. Yeah, I think that's that is absolutely a factor as far as why there's so much hype behind it, because of the love that goes into it. In the same way that question was asked about Star Wars, it seems like there's way more handling of this IP than it is over there. Never lose your nerd. Got my tickets in Dolby. Let's go. Absolutely. Do it. Go for it. Galaghost, Disney needs to make a Dash Rendar series. Yeah, I mean, look, it's one of those things that you're not going to be able to sell that off of the name itself, but if you Disney needs to make a well-written show again. That's what they need. Yeah. Johnny Patriza. Hey Rocha, how was your trip to Anfield? How do you feel about Aaron Slot being the new manager? Hopefully Arsenal can get the job done next year.
Hopefully not. I hate Arsenal. I love Arne Slot. I think it's a great follow-up to Jurgen. And yeah, we went to Anfield in 2019 as a pilgrimage. the Lady Outlaw and I, she's a huge Liverpool fan as well, and we had a beautiful time there. It's a wonderful city. I want to go back for a whole week and just enjoy Liverpool. It's such a beautiful city, man.
Elusive Rock. Tinfoil hat time. Sigourney Weaver is grief-stricken Mara Jade. I need a rough and tough Sigourney with a lightsaber hunting down Rey. I don't think it'll ever happen again because, like I said, George Lucas didn't like Mara Jade, and I think that Dave Filoni will stick to that.
Yeah, as an extension of Lucas, he will keep that. Yeah,
I think so. Luke Walks the Sky. Opposed to X-Men 97, in that Beau DeMauro is a super fan of these characters. You have Tony Gilroy, who isn't really immersed in the lore, but he's surrounded with people who are, and he listened. That's the major point. That's the major point there. Even when, like if you try to go off on your own and just say, well, I'll do Star Wars this way, as opposed to like, I don't understand this, but I know these people who I hired do.
Right.
Does it make sense for me to put artifacts back here? It does. Okay, cool. Will you guys put artifacts from like the era? I don't know the era. So can you guys do that? And they did. Like that's how it works for sure.
Yeah. Like I say all the time, sports and film business are much more connected than people think. You have a manager or director who has one way of doing things, and no matter who the personnel is, they're going to do it that way. And sometimes you have terrible results.
Yeah.
Better manager is a manager who understands their way of doing things, brings in people who understands the culture of the team before, and finds a way to mix it in together to get the optimal results every time. And so I think that's the way to go about it.
At Haskell, Big Thing Live Patreon reminder, 4:00 Eastern. That's right. Brett and I are going to be doing a show. I don't know how long it's going to be. It might be because I have to do this. I got to pre-tape a show with Riley today for tomorrow. So, but we're gonna do.
You doing live one today? Nice.
We're gonna do a live on Patreon. Yeah. Nice. This one's for Rocha. Kristian, what'd you do with your house? It's out there somewhere. Mad Sinister McCall, what candy bar are you getting with this super chat?
Ooh.
Exactly, a $2 super chat. Snickers. That's my favorite. I like frozen.
Yeah. I do the almond Snickers. That's my new favorite candy bar.
Peanut butter as well. JMP, congrats. 2-man city, 4-person Christian's home. Perfect. Way to go, John. Way to go. Bring that into the zeitgeist. Luke Walks the Sky, moving back to either New Jersey or New York in 2 months. I'm super excited to be on the East Coast, and as money excited to do my best by watching, and I appreciate it. And you've been super, super supportive here today. Very, very kind of you all have been. And look, speaking of which, Luke Walks the Sky. That's why Biggie doesn't have a lazy eye. He was just keeping his eye on Diddy. It's funny. That's funny. Rocha like that one too. Look, you got Rocha on that one. Damn. Look at you, Luke. You just broke Rocha. Damn.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He follows it up. As always, Kristian, thank you for bringing inspiration for my aspiration to open my YouTube channel. You're welcome. Thank you for being such a great contributor here today. And in general, thank you. I will eventually will contribute to your Amazon list. I appreciate that very much. And for anybody who asks, like, it's always the first thing I put in the description, but it's like it just sits there. And if for anybody who's able to help, that's super, super, super kind. Thank you. Shogun review done. Hopefully before season 3 premieres. Now, I mean, I've been doing this trip. I've been doing this trip. I probably will get into, I have to finish it, and I will do a review of it. I promise. I want to finish it. Okay. Carlton Rudder, Rocha seems like one cool cat today. Only today. Kristian, you had balls to do big balls with the Outlaw. Oh yeah. It's the only one that can talk smack. Rocha knows. Big Balls is the only one who can talk smack to Rocha. Yeah, he's scared of him.
I don't feel like getting into it.
I wouldn't, because you can't win with that guy.
No, you can't.
Elusive Rock, stay sweaty. Hell yeah.
It's like Kendrick Lamar, man. He finds all your personal stuff.
He does. He really does, because he doesn't care. Because he knows. What are you gonna do? You can throw him out of his house. He lives in a tree.
He's got big balls. Yeah,
he does. All right, that's it. We made it. We did it.
Thank God.
So, thank you to everybody here who joined us. John, where can they find you, man? Tell us.
You can always find me at The Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. The Outlaw Nation on Twitch. My YouTube channel, youtube.com/John Rocha Says. Come and sample the content, the Hot Mic, the Geek Buddies, the Jedi Way, my reviews, my reactions, all the things that we have going on there on the channel. Please come and hang out with us. And more coming for sure. So youtube.com/John Rocha Says, or just type in the Outlaw Nation and John Rocha. There you go.
All right, John. Thank you, guys. See you next time for Rocha. We'll be back next Monday. For you guys, I'll be back here tomorrow with Mark Riley. We're going to be doing our UAP Tuesday. On Wednesday's show will be myself and Matt Serra. That will be a show here live in studio. Thursday will be a live in studio show with me and Brett. And then Friday, most likely, will be an LA in studio show with me, Winston, and Coy. So that is what I got going on the channel this week. And as I say always, if you can, thank you to everybody who put in the super chats today. And if you want to support the channel, if you can support the channel, get yourself something. One of our wonderful sponsors here today. The links are in the description. Comment, please comment, subscribe, like. I'm telling you, you probably don't, even when you see the notifications, you probably don't see the show pop up as much anymore on certain things because of the YouTube algorithm, the way it's changed. So put those comments in there as much as you did today on the live one. If you're watching on replay, comment anything you want to throw in there and say for the algorithm, go for it. Do whatever you got to do. Thanks for joining us here today. Really appreciate you. We'll see you on the flip side. Bye.